Hi, welcome back to Seen and Heard, our wonderful conversations about productions on stage at Hartford Stage. I am Melia Bensussen. Bienvenidos. Glad you're here with us to learn about our last production of this, our 60th anniversary season. The extraordinary, wonderful, joyful, moving,
funny.
Did I say funny? Funny. 2.5 minute ride by Lisa Kron. And it's a one-person piece. And we have that wonderful one person with us, Lena Kaminsky.
Hi.
Welcome.
Hi.
And the director of 2.5 minute ride, our own associate artistic director, the wonderful Zoë Golub-Sass. So thank you both for being here to talk about 2.5.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're all a little punchy today, so just be forewarned.
A lot of coffee.
A lot of coffee. All right, the impossible question. I'll start with the impossible question. What is it about?
Silence.
Right, it's about so many things.
Yeah.
But if you have to do just to hopefully you're coming to see the show and you're just trying to get a feel for what it is it's going to be like. What are some of the story points, maybe?
So it feels like one of the big, like the larger what's it about is about being in a family and feeling like you fit in and you don't fit in and trying to reconcile those things. But then what we actually talk about in the play is it starts out Lisa, who Lena plays, is making a videotape about her dad, who got out of Europe on the Kindertransport, which was a program to get Jewish children out of Germany. And he left Germany in 1937 and ended up in the States and had this life and this family here. And so Lisa's trying to reconcile who he is here versus where he comes from and how she intersects with those things. But she's also telling a few different stories about this moment in time in her family's life and in hers. Do you want to share what those moments are?
So there's another kind of,
It's like braiding of stories,
Yeah.
right? I keep
is.
thinking of it. So that's
Yeah.
one storyline.
yeah,
and
another
the
story
others.
is we go with Lisa as her family takes their annual trip to the Cedar Point Amusement Park in Sandusky, Ohio, where her dad loves to ride the roller coasters.
And her dad is maybe
5-minute ride.
And maybe her dad,
75.
exactly, and diabetic.
Hard
or
of hearing.
Hard of
Yeah.
hearing. There's like health issues that maybe.
Has trouble with
legally
vision,
blind.
legally-
I remember, right, there's a part in it where he doesn't want to be seen taking a pill because he's afraid they'll stop him for
That's
health
right.
reasons
Exactly.
from riding.
Right.
But in fact, the pill he's taking is to prevent a heart attack.
That's
Just
right.
in case.
Just in case. Just in case. But he still goes.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
there's the coming to terms with his history.
Yep.
There's the going to the amusement park, and there's one other big thread.
And Lisa's brother getting married,
Right.
which brings up a whole other slew of feelings.
His
around
family's so easy, and family events are
Yes.
so easy.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. So those are kind of the three paths that it takes, and they kind of intersect and blur together. And sometimes I think you don't necessarily know where you are.
I have loved that about it.
Yeah.
Hearing you at the first rehearsal, sort of following one story, and I'm imagining myself in the amusement park, and then I'm in a different line for a different
Yes,
site,
Yeah.
as it were.
yeah, at a different perspective.
Right.
And as part of that, it feels like one of the things that Lisa Kron is really interested in the play, and we were actually just talking about that this morning, is that we as humans never know what is going to come next. And we never know where we are in a certain point in
That's
time,
great.
what is going to
Yes.
happen moving forward, what the narrative will be about the moment we're living in. And so by weaving these stories, it's not we do one, then we do the other, then we do the other, and there's a pattern.
Yeah.
There's a way that she constructs the roller coaster ride of the play, both for Lena, the actor, which every great playwright does, is create a roller coaster ride for the actors, but the audience, we don't know when the drop will come, when the loop-de-loop will show up. We just don't
love
expect
that.
it.
I hadn't actually, for all as well as I know the piece, right? We programmed this, right? We picked the season, and Zoe and I, as the artistic staff here at Hartford Stage, we read tons of plays, and we decided on this piece really we started talking about it 3 years ago.
Yeah.
And we decided to finish the 60th anniversary season with this, and I'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute as to why. But what I love that you're saying, which I hadn't thought of, is how much it is this constant surprise of moment to moment watching it, because I don't know where you're going. I don't always know where you are in the story.
Yeah, which I think is where it allows for this, like, you know, humor.
I'm laughing, and then I'm like, oh my God, we're in Auschwitz. That's not funny.
Exactly.
And yet there is something funny about the construct of
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
And whose point of view and whose story and what,
Right.
who she's
Is she talking about her girlfriend? Is she talking about her mother in the car? Is she
Yes.
talking about the person who's driving them through Poland?
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So Lisa wrote this. So Lisa Kron is also one of the writers of the musical Fun Home. That is not, I was clarifying to somebody recently, that piece is not Lisa's autobiographical piece. Fun Home is Alison Bechdell's piece that Lisa adapted, if you're still with me. This piece is actually Lisa Kron's story of her family.
Yeah.
But when it first was created, Lisa performed Lisa, which is to say Lisa Kron created a character named Lisa Kron
Right.
that she performed
Right.
about her family.
Yeah.
Now you're performing
Right.
Lisa Kron's creation of Lisa Kron to tell her family story.
Right.
Well, what's that like?
No pressure.
No pressure at all. But it's funny, right? Because you're playing a real person, but not a real person, all at once.
Yeah, it is funny, and I wonder, like, when she was. I mean, I don't know what when you're working on it, if you think, oh, so other people are going to be doing this, like if that's even where your mind goes.
Right.
But like, as an actor doing, it's so in someone's rhythm.
Yes. Yes.
You know?
Yes, very much. And do you know, have you heard Lisa's actual rhythm? Do you listen as part of your thinking of this piece?
I have listened to her.
Right.
So-
there's a lot of, Lisa's done a lot of performance that's online. So
Yeah.
that,
And lectures.
and lectures, yes.
So I am lucky in that way because I have been able to get. But then there's a point where I
You
have
gotta
to
let
feel
go,
that
yeah.
and then make it my own. And I do have a lot of identification with it, as you know, we spend a lot of time in rehearsal talking about our own families, and I do think it's really important for the. Sometimes we get in trouble because our stage manager is like, okay, we have to get back.
Yeah.
But I do think it's important to like explore, like, you know, what is my connection or like my relationship with my father, which I have a lot of identification because it's so, there's so much love in this piece.
I
And I
agree.
think that's where it comes from, all of it.
So a
So,
lot of love in the
Yeah.
piece. Well, this connects a little bit to, I think, why it feels to me like a really good way to culminate our 60th season, because I hadn't quite, I don't know, when we picked the plays together, I hadn't quite clocked how much of a family spring we've had here at Hartford Stage. Starting with Simona's Search, which is very much a father-daughter coming to terms with your father's history, your family history, and then Hot Wing King, kind of families by choice, and also father-children dynamics. And then in All My Sons, we had the same. Stage management would be like, yeah, back to, everyone had stories about interactions with their parents that were either loving or painful, sometimes both.
Yeah.
Right? And the losses we can feel in a parent-child relationship, right? On both sides,
yeah.
either as a parent or as the child.
Yeah.
It's very moving.
Yeah.
It's interesting, you had read something, so forgive me for putting you on the spot, but I remember you saying something about Lisa's this question that Lena's asking about if Lisa imagined someone else doing it. Wasn't there something that you had read about Lisa thinking about what it meant to write one's own history and then have someone else perform it?
Well,
Emerging stories.
Possibly, but this could be an interesting thread.
Okay, good. Grab it.
I mean, well, Lisa has used as an epigraph for the program or when writing
That's
about
what
the
I was
piece.
thinking about, yes.
It's a quote the first time you tell a story, it's fact. The second time, it's fiction. So in some ways, as we're approaching the play, the first iteration of Lisa performing the play, it was still a fiction. It was a play. She created a character based on herself. But then, what is our job in creating the theatrical world where Lena is playing Lisa? What is that? Where can we take those liberties? And as you're saying, of studying Lisa, but not diving in too much to imitate her. We have to learn her rhythms, but in the same way that we learn any character's rhythms that any playwright would write, because the way that someone speaks reflects what they're thinking and how they're thinking. So,
yes, that's exactly. That was the quote I was trying to remember, right? That it goes from fact to fiction like this.
Right. Yeah.
And that is so true of our own stories and our family narratives.
Yeah.
We're in week 3 of rehearsal. I always like to sort of include people as to when we're recording this, which means this is the week that you kind of start that shift into really thinking about performance, not that you haven't been before.
Yeah.
But we're in the rehearsal room. If you watched Others Seen and Heard, you've heard me, list off where we are in the process each time. But you move into the theater on Friday.
Yeah.
We move into the theater on Friday. I love the day we went to the theater, so I will.
I'm
be
so
there.
excited.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
very exciting. So, how does that impact your rehearsal thinking this week? Right, it's Tuesday. Friday's the beginning of tech, and performances start. 10 days.
Yeah.
So, where does your brain, either of you, go at this point in the process? Besides panic.
I was just
I saw the panic. I did this on all my sons. In the scene and heard for all my sons, I actually said, and so we go. And Marsha and Michael both just froze. So I was like, I'm sorry. And they did just fine.
Yeah.
You'll be brilliant.
Thank you.
I mean, it's we're going to start having designers and staff members in the rehearsal room for a couple of days to see runs. And really, Lena's been speaking mostly to me, our stage
I was
management
going to
team.
say,
And they're
So it's-
such a wonderful
Well-
audience. They laugh at all my.
Well, we laugh at the ones. We'll see if the audience laughs. We'll see
Yeah,
if
yeah,
our
yeah,
sense
you
of
have
humor
to
is
stop
alive.
laughing.
Oh,
Have to stop laughing in the room. My experience is the more I laugh in a room, the less those lines
Exactly,
get laughed
right.
when I'm not.
Well, I try to mix it up.
She keeps me on my toes.
Try to mix it up. So
That's
like
great.
I'll throw something in.
Yeah.
That's
You know.
awesome.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
But what you're saying in a way is that an audience for this piece, it's different than some plays.
yeah, for sure.
I mean, we always need an audience to a point, but you're actually speaking to the audience
Yes.
throughout.
Yeah. We had an open rehearsal one day for a group, which was fantastic. And it was so fun just to have new people in the room to speak to, because everybody reacts and identifies with different things. And I think that informs the performance. In a show like
I will share that I had my wonderful cousins come to one rehearsal, and
The
you got
first
jokes
rehearsal.
about the first rehearsal, you got jokes about pizza in New Haven.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't say New Haven, but you made a joke
Pizza.
about pizza.
Yeah.
And my cousin from New Haven was like, I know pizza.
Yeah.
So you don't know.
You just don't know.
You don't even know where it'll come in. Like, it's a shock that someone's responding about pizza
Right.
in that
Well,
way.
I
It's so
think
personal.
Yeah, and some people just, when I tell people, what this play is about, and I say Cedar Point, some people are like, Cedar Point? And they have a real connection to the amusement park. So,
Well, and the research for this for you guys, I mean, this play travels, right? Is the wedding in New Jersey? Is the brothers?
it's in Brooklyn.
It's
Kaminsky.
Okay. So location-wise, you've got a relatively Orthodox wedding. Is it an It's an Orthodox Jewish wedding, because the brother, Lisa's brother,
Yes.
and when I say Lisa, I do mean sort of the character Lisa
Sure.
here, right? Even though I think these things are true. So Lisa's brother is engaged to an Orthodox Jewish woman.
Yep.
She comes from a much more cultural Jewish, but not religious Jewish. Is it from a conservative
Yeah.
background?
Conservative Jewish, not conservative politically.
Right. Yes, conservative Jewish, and she and her girlfriend, right, her partner,
Yeah.
and it's quite funny hearing how Lisa tries to figure out how to come as a lesbian couple
Yeah.
to an Orthodox Jewish wedding.
Yeah.
So you've got that component. That's Canarsie.
Yep.
You've got
Sandusky, Ohio.
Sandusky, Ohio, and then Happy Poland.
Yeah. And Michigan.
Lansing, Michigan.
Well, and I should say, I've mentioned the reason they're going to Auschwitz is because Lisa's father is the only survivor of his family because he was, as you pointed out, a Kindertransport. So he has never been back to
the camp.
Well, he never, no, I shouldn't say back, he's never been to the camp because he was never there.
Correct.
Right.
Right. So Lisa decides this is something she needs to do with her father.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how do you what do all these places, how do you think about all these places as you work on the piece? And are you changing the scenic background for each of these? Are you taking us on a visual ride to these places?
So we don't go to these actual places. We're not going to project, them at the train station. But the play kind of expands and contracts. Sound and lights will take us everywhere we need to go.
But not literally.
Not
we won't
literally.
See, I'm not going to have to see images. I'm not
No,
going to see the
it's-
roller coaster or the camp.
No. And part of the brilliance of the play is that it's what we don't see and how we use our minds and imaginations. And Lisa's brilliantly, really subtly, so we're, giving a little bit of a spoiler. She
Okay.
really constructs the play to teach the audience, without us realizing, to use your imagination and to be flexible with your imagination and even to project your own family.
Which is why I think people can identify with so much, because it leaves so much, for the audience to do.
Yeah.
In their own mind.
And all in this 80-minute roller coaster ride. I mean, really, the play itself feels like a roller coaster ride.
Yeah.
We don't have time to go see anywhere other than the stage altogether.
Right.
So the play needs to be able to explode into a new moment, and we can't have anyone bringing a table on or waiting for the
So nothing
projection to
changes
change.
except lights and sound.
Yeah.
Yes, but
Do you have 14 costume changes?
And lots of wigs.
and
That is a joke. That is a joke.
wigs on wigs.
Put a hat on a hat.
A hat on a hat.
But part of that is about shaking us up so we don't know where we're going to be next,
Yeah.
and we can be in two places at once.
It does, and it very much, I feel like, because of that structure, kind of echoes how we experience our lives, where our parents' history, our own past, our present, our partner's history, all kind of conflate in a moment. And I do think there's an extraordinary speed and wit to this piece that captures that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love this play.
I do too.
It's interesting. We're doing a piece at this moment, at this very fraught historical moment. And it's not lost on me that it appears to be, and it is, of course, in its essence, a Jewish story. It's, right, Lisa Kron, a self-identified Jewish queer woman, telling the story of her family, and that the Holocaust is part of that family's history. And so it's interesting to me that we programmed this a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, feeling that the echoes of dealing with loss and trauma and trying to figure out how we fit into our families and how our family history impacts our own point of view on the world, right? It just, I hope that perceiving this play at this moment can help us get out of the immediacy of the political nightmare that we're in, and rather remember that there's all these different histories that we can identify with.
There's one of the really brilliant. I feel like I keep being like this brilliant thing.
No, I
This
know,
play
but
is
we
like-
love this play.
This play is so brilliant. About not knowing what comes next. It's also there's something about us not understanding ourselves and other people, and how much work sometimes we're not even asking ourselves the right questions, and we can be surprised by answers, and being open to being surprised by who we are, by other people. And it's one of the great things about theaters. We're sitting in a room full of strangers, and we all show up here, and Lena is speaking to us as Lisa, and the character, she's wondering how she's going to feel in certain situations. Am I going to feel X? Am I going to feel Y? And she shows up, she experiences it, she feels G. So there's something really surprising, and I think hopefully audiences will leave the theater a little more open in a way that maybe we don't even know, but just there's something in this moment how we need to be more open to other people and ourselves, and there's so much flattening of other people, dehumanization, and that's been going on for years and years and years. And so hopefully this play, it's really, we all come from somewhere. We all have questions and frustrations and ideas and views. But through being here together for 75 minutes, we'll just hopefully just open ourselves up to being surprised by humanity.
I think that's beautifully said. I think that's beautifully said, and that is the goal. It's pure storytelling.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, pure, forgiving, generous, loving storytelling.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about the complexity of a gay woman approaching an Orthodox Jewish wedding, and how that blossoms into sort of a surprising place too.
Yeah, totally.
By seeing a character change, maybe that shows all of us change is possible and we can change.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a note to end on.
That's
I
beautiful.
I can't, so I'm gonna.
Aspirational.
Well, that's what theater's here for. Our 60th season, I feel like, has been aspirational for the future of theater, the future of Hartford Stage for another 60 years here, and also for the healing power of hearing stories together. We all share stresses and joys, and losses and gains, and I'm getting verklempt, so instead, join us at the theater. We start performances May 30th. We run through June 23rd. Go to hartfordstage.org. Hopefully you know this, but go look to get your tickets. And also, if you're interested in further conversations, there are talkbacks, and the dates for the talkbacks are listed on the calendar, so be sure to look for them. And we are, as we close out this wonderful season, we invite you to subscribe to next season. We're opening next year with a new adaptation of Jekyll and Hyde. Because what could be more fun than to sit and be scared together in a theater? And then we have the return to the genius of August Wilson on our stage. Shakespeare's back with Romeo and Juliet. 2 brand new comedies. It's going to be a really wonderful season. Thank you for being with us this season. Thanks for joining today. We'll see you at the theater for 2.5. And join us next year for more live theater. Nothing like it. Thank you so much. Adios, hasta pronto.